I know this review is 4 months too late, but fuck it. I decided let's talk about Malignant because it's my favorite film of 2021 and it's probably my favorite film from this director, James Wan. Going back to his horror roots after going to do Fast and Furious and Aquaman, he came back to deliver Malignant, and now he's going back to Aquaman, but I hope he continues to do more horror films in the future because as it sits now, I think he's my favorite horror director working today. I just think all his movies are amazing to good. Like, there's not a bad movie that he's made, in my opinion. They're all good to amazing, and this is the one of the amazing ones. I think this is seriously like my favorite of his. I've seen it 4 times, and I enjoy it just as much every time I watch it. Quick plot synopsis: this movie is about a woman named Madison who has an abusive boyfriend, and after a head injury, starts to have shocking visions of grisly murders and realizes that these visions are in fact terrifying realities. Let's jump into my positives because I don't really have many negatives to say. I love that this is just a unique, risky murder mystery that kind of lets you know early on what the twist is going to be if you pay attention, and but it still kind of throws you off, making you think it could be this, and they insert different ideas here and there, and it just becomes a very intriguing murder mystery that has a very jaw-dropping twist, and not just one twist, but multiple twists. One or two I might have saw coming, but there was a couple in here that I did not see coming, and the one especially that I'll talk about later in my spoiler section uh, was amazing when it happened in the theater. I just remember like, holy shit, this is what everyone was talking about. It's amazing, risky. It's the moment in the movie where if you didn't see it coming, it's going to make it or break it for you. This is a movie where you have to suspend disbelief. It is not grounded in reality. It's a bit supernatural. It's risk taking, and they really do like spoil the movie in the opening credits. If you really like pause it and read everything and pay attention, they basically spell it all out for you. And that's risky shit. And I love just the uniqueness of this movie and how engaging it is from beginning to end. I was intrigued all the way through. This movie never slows down to me. I've heard some people, I think, say it's kind of boring in the middle, or it's just like the first 2 acts are just meh. I love all of it. I just think every scene is necessary. There's no filler. It's all needed, and it just keeps going. It's like kill, attack scene, kill, kill. Like it just, and the kills, brutal, gory, unrealistic as hell. Yeah, there's some CGI blood. Could have done without that, but I get why they went the CGI route because of the kind of shot they were trying to make. But it's gory as fuck. The kills are amazing. It's vicious. I mean, it's just amazing. Like we have like this gearing up montage where the killer like gets the outfit, gets the black leather gloves, like a giallo movie. And this movie kind of feels like a giallo, and the lighting, the cinematography, just James Wan's visuals and the atmosphere of the movie. Like I love so much about this movie. Just there's so many cool shots. This guy's murder weapon is a trophy. That's awesome. And he like sharpens it. And just this villain is a unique villain also. And but yeah, just there's so many cool camera shots, like the one like the tracking shot from the ceiling. I think they call it like a spider cam, to get technical here. But I watched the behind the scenes featurette here, and they call it like a spider cam, but like how it follows her around. There's so many cool shots, like through the keyhole. Like I just love how James Wan tries to make every scene look interesting. Just doing different things with the camera. Joseph Bishara does the score for this movie. He also worked on Insidious, and I just think he delivers a brilliant, incredible score that has a very similar cue from Don't Torture a Duckling, which is my favorite Fulci film, and it just so happens to be a giallo also, just like I think this movie is kind of like a giallo. But just the score, man, just the haunting sounds, the stringed instruments, like the sounds in the movie, and that fast pace like chase music later on, like the music is just incredible in this movie. It's my favorite soundtrack score of 2021. Even something as small as opening credits, I love in this movie. Just I'm a sucker for like montages, like where they just show different clips or images that are creepy, and gross, like in this movie's case, something like the Hills Have Eyes remake or Dead Silence by James Wan, just cool opening credits that make it interesting instead of just having, white on black text like Friday the 13th. Like I like the opening credits of this movie also, and it's risky. Like I said earlier, the opening credits actually reveal a lot. If you pause it and read everything, it basically spells it all out for you. And I really like the cop characters in this movie, the main two detectives and the CSI chick, who's also the one who gets the story credit. I guess it was her idea of this film. She took it to James Wan, and they took it to Akela Cooper, however you say her name. She wrote Hellfest, and she's going to write The Nun too, apparently. But yeah, she has a story credit, and she plays a CSI lady, and she's just a fun character. And the two detectives, Shaw and whatever the other chick's name is, I've seen it 4 times, and I still can't remember her name, but they're just the comic relief, but it's not too much. It doesn't like throw off the tone to me. It's mainly a dark, serious movie, but they're like the comic side of it, and they just add some levity to the film, but not too much. They don't go overboard or anything with it. And I thought all the performances were good. They're what they need to be. They're not, Oscar worthy or anything, but they're good, and none of them are terrible. So you don't have to worry about bad acting in this film. I thought everyone did exactly what they needed to do. My only real slight gripe with the movie is just the last couple minutes. I feel like they maybe needed an extra couple minutes to kind of wrap some other things up, and they kind of left some things open, like ambiguous, like the fate of certain characters. And I just thought maybe the film could have worked better if it went in a more darker direction. But I get why they went with this ending. It kind of helps build an arc for the main character here. So, but it is what it is. Like, it could have been better, but it's not terrible or anything. It just kind of felt like a quick, easy way to just wrap things up at the very end. Like, all right, let's just make this happen, and now it's over. And one nitpick I would have is just how terrible the cops are in this movie. They have terrible aims. They can't shoot anything to save their life. So final thoughts, I think this is a beautifully shot, just one of a kind film, a giallo-like mystery that tries something new, strange, and risky while also delivering brutal kills, an eerie score, and a jaw-dropping twist. To me, it is easily Wan's best and most entertaining film, and it deserves way more credit than it's getting right now. So when it comes to Malignant, it's not flawless, but it's damn near close. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. But I can see this movie going up to 5 stars if I watch it again and love it just as much. So yeah, damn near flawless. Let's get into some spoilers. So the movie opens up in 1993 at Simeon Research Facility, and we get some foreshadowing because we see the trophy on the wall back there that's later going to be the murderer's weapon. We hear very quickly in dialogue that Gabriel has found out about the whereabouts of his mother, that she's still alive, and he wants to go home, and that's why he's acting up. And when they get in the room, the security guard gets his arm snapped, so that shows us right there just how strong Gabriel is, foreshadowing all the arm snappings we're going to get later on at the jail cell. And we see a panda bear sock, and they really show it for a reason. And I think it's to say this is a girl, because to me that seems like a girl sock. So even though they're saying this is Gabriel that they're dragging, and you're thinking that they're dragging a guy, a boy, you see the panda bear sock, and that's like a clue, small clue that that's actually a girl with a parasitic twin attached to her. So yeah, a little foreshadowing, little clues here and there throughout the movie. And then we get the opening montage that says a lot of spoilers about waking dreams and yada yada yada. If you pause it and read it, it basically says too much. But before the opening montage, we also see a shot of Gabriel and see that he broadcasts his thoughts on radios. He can control electricity, he's making lights flicker, and he can speak through radios and shit. This movie's telling you right out of the gate, this is supernatural. This is a little boy who is very strong, So it's letting you know early on, like, this is going to be a weird movie. Because I went in blind, and when I saw that shot of Gabriel and like his screeching and shit, I was like, what the fuck is this? How is this going to tie into the rest of the movie? I thought this was going to be a more grounded in reality murder mystery, but now I'm seeing this monster. Um, it was just really jarring, and it made the rest of the film much more interesting because I kept thinking about it, like, how is that going to tie into what's happening present day? Speaking of present day, this is one of those movies like Friday the 13th that says present day instead of just saying October 2020 like the movie takes place in. I know that because of the hospital scene towards the end on her like monitor. It says October 29th, 2020, but it just at the beginning it says present day. Well, that means it can be any year whenever you're watching this movie. 20 years from now, it'll be present day. Like, no, just write the year. I don't know why movies always do that. So we get introduced to our main character, Madison, slash Emily, and we see that she's like in her third trimester. She's had 3 miscarriages, and she's got an abusive boyfriend who likes to watch UFC and boxing. So he likes watching aggressive men fight because he's an aggressive man who likes to beat on his pregnant wife because he's a piece of shit. But yeah, and I get why they're doing it, making him an abusive boyfriend because it makes her more of a suspect in the investigation. If he was a nice guy and she had a head injury some other way, she would be less of a suspect when he got killed. So I get why they're doing this, forcing him to be so over the top, aggressive towards her. He's like, I'm sorry, I lose control. Like he's bipolar or something. Like he just head bashes her, throws her head up against the wall, leaves a big mark on the wall, and I believe there's one shot where it disappears, like in between shots, like it's there, then it's not, now it's there again. I'm pretty sure. Watch it again. But yeah, and when I watched this movie for the first time, I thought that that happened to explain her visions, like her head injury caused the visions, but that's not what happened at all. The head injury is what causes Gabriel to wake up and break free and start controlling her body again. Then we get this whole sequence where Derek gets killed, but before he gets killed, it plays out like a supernatural paranormal activity movie. Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, this movie was so intriguing on a first watch. Like, they just kept making me think it's this, it's this, it's this. I'm like, what kind of movie am I watching? There was this monster in the open. Now this blender's on by itself. There's a person on the couch. He's there. Now he's not. Like, he disappears in a second. But then the couch like goes up, like implying that someone was just sitting there. The cushion raises back up, and like the fridge was open. Like someone was just there. Like this guy's quick on his feet, Gabriel. For someone who's never walked in many years, like he's not used Emily's body for over like 20, 25 years, and this is his first day back using her legs, and he's pretty good at it. He's quick on his feet. He's pretty strong still. But this whole scene just made me think I was watching a ghost movie. I was like, where is this going? I thought this was a murder mystery. So yeah, I love how this was all done. It's one of the more creepy scenes in the movie, I guess, because this movie doesn't really go for scares really, but I would say this whole section of the movie where Derek gets killed and then when Emily gets chased is probably some of the most scary scenes in the movie. And then after that, it just plays out like more of a murder mystery. But I love the way Derek gets killed. It's karma. He bashed her head up against the wall, and then Gabriel returns the favor, bashes his head up against the wall, and then we get the aftermath with his head twisted all the way around. And like the bones, like just the way his neck looks, awesome. Great aftermath death there. And just another clue is just at the twist is when you see how the punch was done. Like at a weird angle because the guy's backwards. So yeah, just watch it closely how his arm goes in. It's pretty cool. And then we get a cool, eerie moment with Gabriel appearing above Derek's body, and then he starts chasing Emily upstairs, and then that door is being like busted open. But when you're looking at the door, you can see that no one's actually touching the door. Again, making the movie feel like you're watching something that's just a ghost movie, supernatural, or you're thinking this chick's the killer and she's just nuts. But then how does the opening tie into that? So again, it was just a very intriguing first watch, taking all these puzzle pieces and trying to put them all together. Like, okay, this feels like a ghost movie, but how does this opening apply here, and is it just her? She's losing her mind. There's no one actually hitting the door when you're looking at it, and then she hits her head, and she's in the hospital for a couple of days. And I wondered, I read this online, somebody pointed this out, that maybe it was Gabriel who made her silent and like catatonic for 2 days. Was he like making her silent and didn't want her talking to the cops? It's just a theory, but I'm not sure if I buy into it, if that's what was happening. I just think it was the shock and the trauma and just the depression of losing a third baby, because that was her third miscarriage. So I just think she was just done at that point and just needed a couple days to get it all back together. So then we get introduced to the detectives and the CSI lady, who's just dying for some romance. She's very lonely. Such a funny character. And also, the main two detectives, they find out that the fingerprints were upside down, as if the killer were hanging from the ceiling. They suspect the wife right away. Yeah, because he's an abusive boyfriend, there's the motive. Like, this 9-month pregnant lady somehow twisted this guy's head around. Like, I couldn't do that. It's like, no one could do that. How hard would that be to pull off? I wonder. Like, to twist someone's head around like that, and they're like, yeah, this pregnant chick, she had to do it. Like, I get it, there's no sign of forced entry, and the fingerprints are probably going to be hers if they match it with her. I don't think they ever take her fingerprints, but, like, I get why they suspect her because of the no forced entry, and he's an abusive asshole. But really, like, this chick pulling a guy's head around like that, there's no fucking way. Then we find out that Derek kept the sisters apart for 2 years. So that was a moment in the movie that made me think that maybe the sister was going to be involved somehow. I was like, oh, there's motive. Like, I don't think she could do that either with that guy's head, but, you know, if someone was keeping me from my sister for 2 years because they're a controlling, abusive asshole, I want to snap some heads too. So Emily returns home and she gets chased by the figure again. She sees all the lights outside flickering, which is, you know, a sign of Gabriel's soon appearance. You know, anytime he's about to attack, emerge, lights start to flicker, and that's his power. But she gets chased up the stairs, and this is when we get some cool James Wan camera work here, with the camera like bird's eye view, like looking down, tracking shot all the way up the stairs, and foreshadowing the plot twist here. Like, she says over and over again, like, it's all in my head. It's all in my head. I do wonder on rewatch why he's making her think that she's being chased, because we find out that he's manipulating everything she sees, so he wants her to believe that she's being chased in that moment. And I'm thinking maybe it's actually the moment that he's killing. No, that can't work. I don't know. I'm not sure why he wants her to think and see all that in that moment, like why he's torturing her more before he goes and starts killing all the other people. Like, I'm gonna fuck with you a little bit more. But because she got chased again by this mysterious figure, she smartly installs all kinds of locks, and we get a funny little subtle like jump scare with the sister in the window. Like, there's no jump scare music or anything, thank God. This movie's better than that. But her face is just like in the window. The camera pans over and like there she is. It's like very startling. Like, it actually made me kind of jump the first time I watched it, like, oh shit. So then we get the moment where she reveals to her sister that she was adopted and she doesn't know who her real mom is. And then it hard cuts to the real mom working in the city at this like underground, tourist attraction. She's showing all these people this underground city, and it's a real place. You can actually go visit this place, I believe, in Seattle somewhere. And it's an actual like city from way back in the day that they built a city on top of. And I just think that's a really fascinating idea. Like, they actually built a city on top of an older city in Seattle somewhere. Then James Wan does one of these scare sequences where you hear the threat approaching, but you don't actually see it. And that's always effective, because it's like you just imagining, like, what the hell is coming towards her in that dark hallway. You don't see anything. It's just pure black, just darkness. You can't see anything, but you just hear the footsteps getting closer and closer. Like, that's always terrifying to me, just what you hear, but you can't see. But then, the bad guy's right above her, and it sounds like a cat meowing. Every time I listen to it, it sounds like Gabriel is making cat noises right before he tackles her. So after the mom is captured, we see our killer gearing up. He's getting his outfit together and speaking through the speakers. So basically in this moment, the movie is telling you like, hey, remember that thing at the opening? That's the killer. So then it's like, well, now there's no mystery. We know who the killer is, but then they still managed to shock me with that twist of them still being connected. Like this movie did an excellent job of convincing me that Emily was separate from Gabriel the whole time. And that I thought this was going to be like Basket Case, like they got separated and now the one wants revenge against the doctors that separated them. Very similar to Basket Case in a way, but yeah, just great writing, clever. They give you so many clues and foreshadow the twist so much. So it's not like they're cheating or anything. They give you plenty of opportunities to put it together, but my dumbass was like, yeah, this is a separate person running around killing. And it got me. That twist, I think that's why I love this movie so much, is that it actually worked. Like, if you knew the twist going in, or if you were smart enough to put it together, then I guess it wouldn't be as fun. So I could see why, maybe that's why some people don't like it, because they thought it was predictable. But to me, it fooled me. So that's why it just worked so much. So then we get our first death scene with Dr. Weaver. And at first, again, it feels like a paranormal ghost movie. She just sees this girl running and screaming, but that's Dr. Weaver, I think, running. And she's like, what the fuck is that? She's just doing laundry, and then all of a sudden, get that scare. She's right next to the laundry. And then the room, like, we get like a 360 camera move, and like everything's like melting around her. Like, reality is around her is changing, and it's transforming into Dr. Weaver's house, and just the way that's done, again, like that's James Wan. If this was any other director, that scene would not exist. It would have been shot differently, and it's just like that just goes to show how important having a good director is. Like, that's a cool shot. That's a cool visual effect. That's when CGI I can tolerate and appreciate. Like, that you can't do that practically. So that was a cool CGI like visual shot. I just don't like CGI in my gore and blood, which we do get some of that later on, but it's still done pretty effectively. We get one of many clues that this guy is a backward walking, backward moving person when he's grabbing the trophy off of the ground. The way he grabs it, the way his hand is, like, it looks like someone grabbing it backwards, and he just bashes the shit out of Dr. Weaver's head. Blood's going everywhere. It's the one kill where we don't see the aftermath of, which is a shame because it looked like he made her head like disappear. We see the aftermath of the next two people, but not her. And then, just like when Freddy Krueger made his claws and sharpened them, we get Gabriel making his iconic weapon. Man, I really hope this movie gets icon status. Like, this is the new face of horror to me. Like, I want to see more love for this movie. I want there to be like Gabriel costumes at Halloween. Just imagine people walking backwards, trick or treating, have something on the back of their head. Like, it's funny. Like, that would be a great costume idea. Somebody should be Gabriel. Gabriel should host the Oscars this year. But yeah, just the way he makes his weapon, like, just what a cool weapon. He sharpens the trophy. Now it's a giant like dagger. Awesome. And then we get a fake out scare underneath the bed. Like, it's like a fake out. You think that this is like the killer's POV going in on the guy's ankles, but nope, fake out and effective. Like, I didn't want there to something happen because that just would have been cliche. Like, we've seen that done a million times where someone's under the bed, Pet Cemetery style, slices the Achilles. Like, we didn't need to see that again. So I'm glad that was a fake out, very effective. Then we get the second vision very quickly after the first one, very quickly paced. This movie, it just keeps going. Like the first kill, not even 5 minutes later, second kill, she's in bed with the guy, she's paralyzed, she can't move. Everything's melting and changing around her to the hotel that he's at. And then we see that Gabriel's legs are facing backwards. When he's stabbing the shit out of his face, it's good misdirection because when I first watched this movie, I didn't notice that his legs were facing backwards because I was focused on the action. It's like what a good magician does. They make you look over here. Meanwhile, this is happening. So it's like you're looking at him just stab the shit out of that guy's face brutally, all on camera. Like, no cutaway, just psh, psh. And meanwhile, this guy's legs are facing the opposite direction. So it's just a great, another clue at the twist. But you know what? Maybe that guy deserves to get stabbed in the face, because what dumbass goes to bed after seeing his window open and a bunch of wet footprints right next to the window going towards the walk-in closet? Like, he sees this and he's like, that's weird. Shuts the window, goes to bed. Like, dumbass. Somebody broke in. And it's also during this second kill that we get our first glimpse at, I guess, adult Gabriel. So this is the scene that really confirms, in case you weren't sure yet, this is indeed that creature from the opening. And then we get probably the best joke in the movie that makes me laugh every time. When they go to the cops, they convince them to go check out the hotel. They go, they find the body, and then they have a guy sketch up what Gabriel looks like. And then when the chick cop, forget her name, I wish I wrote it down, but when the female detective sees the drawing, she's like, so you want me to look for Sloth from the Goonies?
So I'm putting out a bolo on Sloth from the Goonies.
Then we get the scene where she's on the phone with Gabriel, and it's, again, another, like, foreshadowing, another hint at the twist later on. Like, obviously, it's somebody that she knows, someone close to her, because she remembers his name by the end of that phone conversation. But I like the way it's shot, because during that whole conversation, you'll notice that she's standing in front of a mirror, and you can see the back of her head in the mirror the whole time. Like, Gabriel is technically in that scene with her. I love the scene where they go and they visit the mom, and they dig up all these old VHS tapes, and just the things that we hear her say on those tapes are very bone chilling. Like, she's like talking on the phone to an imaginary friend, we think. Like, don't hurt the baby. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I would want to get rid of that kid if I was the mom. Like, this is too much of a risk I'm not willing to take. This kid sounds like she's schizophrenic and she's going to murder me in my sleep. And the dad is actually the guy in It Chapter 2 who slits his wrist. I forget the character's name, but I recognized him. He was in It Chapter 2. But yeah, I love this whole sequence, like getting the tapes and just all the things that she's saying. And they really, again, it's misdirection. I was like, wait, are we going in this direction now? Like, is this going to be a killer imaginary friend movie? Because that's the way they make it sound in this scene. And then even the cop says it later on. She's like, wait, are you telling me the killer is your imaginary friend? And that's when I was just like extra intrigued by the movie. I was like, what the fuck? We're going to get a killer imaginary friend movie? That sounds stupid, but I'm curious to see if that's really what it is.
Maddie, who are you talking to?
Gabriel.
Is he your imaginary friend?
But the reason why you start to suspect that maybe there is this imaginary friend, or she's just imagining everything, she's crazy, is because when she's talking to Gabriel in those tapes, besides the phone one, she's looking over to nobody. But she's really just trying to, I guess, look at the back of her head. Like, she's like looking over towards Gabriel, but to everyone else, it just looks like she's talking over to nobody, like her imaginary friend. So just clever writing, clever direction, amazing. So then we get to the point in the movie where Detective Shaw figures out that Emily is a patient of Dr. Weaver's, and that there's a pattern, and that this killer is after the doctors at the Simeon Research Facility. And then Emily starts to have another vision, and she's in the bathroom, and Detective Shaw shows up too late. The guy's already dead in the bathtub, and has a face-to-face confrontation with Gabriel, sees the face. It matches that picture he was shown earlier that looked like the Goonies monster, but then still arrests Emily later on, even though he knows that it can't possibly be her. And this is the moment in the movie where you really start to suspect that there is something wrong, not just with the face of this killer, but their movements. Like, if you didn't already see the backwards legs before, and the backwards, like, grabbing things, and like, if you didn't notice it already, like, it's so clear now in this scene when he's fighting him and running away. He is running backwards, the way he's climbing down that fire escape, like he's done it a million times, like and when he's going through the hole in the wall, like, he is running backwards so clearly in that scene. What I find to be more unrealistic than the twist of this movie is the fact that Detective Shaw drops like a good 20-25 feet onto his shoulder and immediately gets back up and starts running again, using that arm in a fight, not even 5 minutes later, drawing his weapon out and firing it, and like isn't complaining about his bruised, fucked up shoulder. Like, the way he landed on his shoulder on that trash can, would have messed him up. So then we get kind of your typical like hypnosis scene. You know, you're going back far, like you're gonna remember a time before you can remember, you know, and trying to figure out like all the memories that she's lost. And we find out that she's had these waking dreams before where everything changed around her. Like, this isn't the first time it's happened, like you think when you're watching the movie. Like, you think it's because of that head injury that she's probably having these visions. But no, she's had these visions since she was a kid and almost killed her own baby sister while she was in the womb. And just another great moment in the movie, this revelation, just the way it's shot and done, like, great moment. And then also when the mom escapes and falls through the ceiling and crashes in her living room while the cops are there. Bad timing. uh, and then like she gets arrested for that. And that was another twist. Like, A, that she's the mom. I didn't figure that out because they told me she was dead and I just believed it. I was like, yeah, her mom's dead. Makes sense, I guess. And then I find out that her mom's not dead and that's her mom. The second twist of that scene is also the fact that she was in the attic. Then we get another awesome moment. I'm going to keep blowing this movie. I love it. The interrogation scene, like the phone call, and she's like, I used to call him the devil. Again, another moment in the movie where I'm like, is she being literal or is she like, is this going to be a devil movie? Like, is that where we're going? Like, this thing's actually like a demon? I don't know, but she called him the devil. But the fact that Gabriel, the killer, is calling her in that moment, shouldn't that tell the cops right away, like, oh, we don't actually have the killer in our custody? The killer is contacting us somehow. It can't be her. You know, like, they should have freed her after that. Like, oh, okay, I guess it's not you because the killer just called us and basically confessed that we have the wrong person. So they should have let her go. But instead, they throw her ass in a big jail cell. She doesn't get like a private cell that you see in some movies where it's just like very small, just one person in each one. Like, she gets this big ass like holding cell for like 24 criminals. There's just a lot of criminal women in the city of Seattle that they have in there. And one of them is dressed up like some chick from the 70s. Like, she's got the big old fro and she's got the outfit like, I guess it's around Halloween, this movie, so maybe she's trick-or-treating like that. I don't know. Like, why is she dressed like that? But then you get the other chick, Scorpion, who is in a lot of Tarantino movies. She's like an Australian stunt woman. And so I recognized her. And so, yeah, we get this brutal massacre right after Sydney goes and gets the tapes at the hospital or research facility. And they actually have an interesting like fake out there because when she's there and you still think that Gabriel is on the loose, you think that he's going to go kill her. Like, it's misdirection. Like, you think, you know, she's here in jail so she can't protect her sister and she's going to die trying to get the answers. So it was good misdirection. I was like expecting her to die there at that place. And when she gets there, the way she parks so close to the edge, I laugh every time. Watch how closely she parks to the edge of the cliff. Like, why does she have to get so close? But yeah, when she's inside, you hear a noise and you think that she's about to die. But no, it just hard cuts and she's back home with her mom and they're watching the tapes and they get the big reveal, the twist. And, you know, Gabriel can control what she sees and hears and what her surroundings are and just make her think that she's over here, but she's not. And can control her body. And then we get that awesome massacre in the jail cell where, you know, the head is Gabriel's face is revealed. All practical effects, by the way, a lot of it. I saw the behind the scenes and they actually built this like puppet head. It comes out awesome. And they're just like, what the fuck? And then I love how the Zoe chick, a Scorpion or whatever her name is, she keeps like throwing people towards Gabriel to take out. Just showing how much of a bitch her character really is. And like the first chick just gets elbowed in the face. I guess that killed her. And then the second person, or the first person, gets their neck just ripped right off. Oh my God. Like, even if you predicted the twist somehow, like you knew that they were connected still, that this was going to be some parasitic twin, a teratoma, there's no way on earth anybody predicted the massacre we were about to get. I mean, she punches a fucking hole through a woman's stomach out the back. Like, this is like some Peter Jackson Dead Alive shit, just punching through people. What the fuck? And then stomps that chick's head in, eyes like pop out of her skull. Like, oh my god. Like, James Wan at this point just said, fuck it. Like, I know this is ridiculous, so let's just go for it. And thank God he did. And then Scorpion, she gets her eyes gouged out and shot like 20 times by this dumb cop. And then I'm glad the CSI chick survived because I liked her character. She was smart, held her breath, stayed quiet while Gabriel got his knife and coat back, gearing up. He's like a fucking superhero. He's got to get his cape. And then we get this another amazing sequence here, another massacre. He takes out the whole police station. Jesus Christ. And we get this cool CGI shot where it's like a one take shot. It just kind of goes on for a good amount of time for how much action is happening in this scene. Like, he takes out like 5, 6 people in one shot. It just keeps going around all the action, and it's a cool shot. And I saw how they did it behind the scenes. It's like almost all CGI, but it's still a cool shot. And he's just slicing limbs off, breaking bones again, and just what an amazing action sequence. It's like James Wan, because he did Furious 7, because he did Aquaman, that he was able to do this. Like, he took his action movie making talents and the things he learned from those movies and applied it to this. So I guess it's a good thing he did those movies, because then we probably wouldn't have a sequence like this. Another thing that makes me laugh in this movie is when Gabriel grabs the chair and just unnecessarily throws it across the room to hit them on the other side. Like, he didn't have to do that. Like, they were already wounded and walking away. They weren't chasing him still. Like, that was just adding insult to injury. Like, here's an extra fuck you. Like, just poof, throws that chair across the room. Like, I laugh every time. So then we get to the last scene of the movie where Gabriel's at the hospital, fucking with all the lights and electricity like he does, and this guy's pacemaker just burst. And the one twist I did predict was he's not actually killing Sydney and the mother twist. Like, I saw that one coming as soon as it happened. Like, when he pulled the trigger before he even got to the mom, I was like, this isn't happening. This is all in his mind now, and she's controlling what he sees. And we also find out that he was causing all the miscarriages, which was kind of an easy one to figure out after you find out that he was constantly trying to get her to kill Sydney as a baby. So I kind of figured that one out too. But I guess he was feeding off of her fetuses to get stronger, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure how she put that together, to be honest, Sydney. Like, I'm not sure how she put that together. I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, then, we get that reveal that she's controlling what he sees, and she locks him up in a mental prison and, puts him back in her skull and basically hints at a sequel. Like, next time I'll be waiting for you. I'm not sure if this movie needs a sequel, but if they make one, I'll be there. I'm not sure what they'll do with the story. The cat's out of the bag. We know what the killer is. So how could they make a sequel? I don't know. But I would see it if they made one. And so, yeah, we get a happy ending. She gets rid of the bad guy. I'm stronger than you. I'm taking control of my life and my body. This is, her arc. At the beginning, she was, the wife that just let the husband abuse her. And now she's finally like standing up to the men in her life. This guy can't control her body no more. She's standing up once and for all, blah, blah, blah. And so, but really, like, she would get arrested still. Like, I feel like there are some answers we need here. Like, is Shaw still alive? Because he gets like hit close to the heart with that dagger thing, the trophy. So is he alive? Did he die? And the other cop, and do they have her on like surveillance footage, like killing all those cops? Is she gonna get arrested? Like, I feel like she was still gonna go to jail after everything was said and done for everything that she technically did. Like, I would love to see that court case and see them like on the stand try to like convince everybody of what was actually happening. Like, no, you don't understand. You see, there's this teratoma parasitic twin that was controlling her body, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I would love to see that court case and them try to like get her off the hook, like, and exonerate her. But there's no way, she's getting arrested. But yeah, so that is the end of the movie. Absolutely love it. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get upset about it.